Ahoy hoy! I am Planet Walk, and welcome to the 13th episode of Rush of Stupid. Today I have with me Hugh Jarsz.
Greetings and salutations. I'm joining you as the biggest YouTuber ever.
You mean that in
no one's as bigger than me.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mean that in a quite literal way, don't you?
Absolutely. How else do you talk?
I mean, some people use figurative speech.
Well, it's something else that's literal. I'm coming to you from my underpants.
Yeah, please don't turn your camera on.
Well, there's no camera that has a wide enough angle lens, so...
Okay, is that what they're trying to... is that why they're trying to invent better and better fisheye lenses? So that they can get you completely in the shot?
Well, it would be a fruitless exercise, given I'm so hideously ugly. You wouldn't want to capture that anyway, so... That's why I wear a mask all the time, you know? Red's rhetoric, he looks beautiful to me.
So, Red's rhetoric could actually have some competition then?
Oh, there's no competition. I'm far uglier.
Alright, well, firstly, I'll just shill my memberships. I think I have 10 memberships still.
Oh, I'm winning. Come on, you can't let a petty little channel like Hugh Jarsz to beat Planet Walk. If you want to be a Planet Walk member, go and join up right now and see if we can beat me by the end of this show.
How many do you have?
I have 12.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I still have 10. I'd have to wait for things to load though. But I don't know why my Chrome is taking so long to load. Oh, yeah, I'm just loading YouTube Creator Studio. Whilst I wait for that to load, let's get into this bit of news. A Kansas legislature passes bill to allow EMTs and doctors to refuse to treat LGBTQ people. This is...
Planet Walk.
Yeah?
It's pronounced Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah, you don't remember Bill Clinton? He was from there. Oh, that's right. You're a young person. You weren't even alive when he was president.
No. I thought you were being serious for a second there, because this is Arkansas.
Yeah, but it's pronounced Arkansas. You don't watch a lot of American stuff then.
No.
Yeah. It's Kansas as in by itself, but they're named after Native American tribes, and there's a river named by the same. And yeah, it's Kansas in Kansas, but in Arkansas, it's Arkansas. Much like you mispronounce every vowel in New Zealanders mispronounce every vowel in the English language, you know?
It's pronounced different. It's spelled very differently to... I thought Arkansas would have a W instead of S.
Yes, but you're using logic. This is America. They misspell everything.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
Mispronounce everything. But yes, given that's what the Native Americans of the Arkansas tribe pronounced it as, that's the way you should pronounce it. Where the spelling came from, I have no idea, because I don't think they had... Well, they didn't have the written language that Europeans had, of course.
Why do Americans have to be so confusing?
Because they're free!
Anyway...
America!
Arkansas legislature passes bill to allow EMTs and doctors to refuse to treat LGBTQ people, and this is just like an absolute bullshit law. Like it says here, the bill to allow healthcare providers to turn away patients due to their religious beliefs is headed to the Republican governor's desk. And, so, if you, here's the thing. I saw this great thing to do with AOC, and AOC is religious. And her statement on this was that people should stop invoking religious freedom in the name of bigotry, right? And it seems that the only time when religious freedom is invoked is to discriminate against people. Right?
Yes, they want to reserve their right to say, well, I'm this sort of person and I want them to obey to my will.
Yeah. And, like, why would you refuse treatment for... Like, I can understand a little bit, but only a little bit. It's more of a thing of... if you're operating on someone and you realize that they're trans, then you might see, oh, this person has, their biological, or what they say their gender is doesn't match up with something else, or something like that. I can understand that a little bit, but only from the point of, I mean, they've got bits, right? And sometimes the bits that trans people have aren't quite the same as what cis people have. But, like, for the rest, how would you even know that someone is a lesbian? How would you know that someone is gay? How would you know that someone is bisexual when they go in to get treated? Right? Are you just going to be like, oh, this person shows up on my gaydar, so therefore I'm not going to operate on them?
It's just a ridiculous... I mean, first of all, I'd like to know, is the governor likely to approve it? I suspect not. It'd be a bit of political suicide, I would have thought. Unless they want to make some sort of... They're religious themselves, and their sort of religion makes them want to approve it. I'd also make the point, if you are religious and you think this is valid, you don't understand your religion. Jesus himself, we're talking Christianity here, I presume, Jesus himself went and he sorted with prostitutes and tax collectors, all the bad people of the time, and because he felt out of love they needed saving too, and no one else was going to, the Pharisees and all them weren't going to go there. So why would anyone today refuse someone who just happens to have a different preference to you? It's just no logic to it whatsoever.
Yeah,
not to mention the Hippocratic Oath, which means that they can't do harm. If you're going to leave someone and don't treat them, you're doing harm.
Yeah. Like, I don't care, like, what sort of person, like, if you get, like, a person that you disagree with, show up, it is your job to treat them. Like, you can't just turn them away because... You can't say, no, I'm not going to treat you because you're trans, or, no, I'm not going to treat you because you're lesbian. It's your job. Like, even if it's a criminal, I believe that you still got to... like, is it going to be one of those things, oh, sure, you're a murderer, but I'm going to operate on you, but this person, they're lesbian, so no operation for you. It's like...
Absolutely. I mean, you might not like it, but it's still your job.
Yeah.
The classic example of this sort of thing, Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister of Australia. He was also the health minister, and staunch Catholic, almost fanatically so, although can't imagine a fanatical Catholic. But, he was against the morning after pill, yet as health minister, he approved its use in Australia.
Okay.
Because that was his job. So, that he put his religious things aside. It might have caused a personal conflict. That's a different issue. But when it comes to serving the community, which is your job, you've got to do your job. And if you don't want to do your job, you resign. These people shouldn't be... This is a get-out-of-jail card for those sort of people. So, obviously, there's some sort of political force pushing for this. I imagine they're not the majority, and I bloody well hope they're not, because this is just... ridiculous,
Well, it says here, Smith also vetted the law, and vetted is in quotes, with the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is an anti-LGBTQ hate group as designated by the Southern Poverty Law Centre. And I have heard I've heard about the Alliance Defending Freedom group. I know that they've currently got... there was this girl that finished in 8th place in a race, right? And the winner and the runner-up were both trans women, right? And so now she's she needed to finish in the top 6 to get into like the international, not international, but to go to nationals. But she finished in 8th, right? So now she's complaining because the people that beat her were trans women, and so she's saying, well, these people are biologically men, so therefore it's unfair for them to compete against me. But the thing is, in that case, in nationals, the trans woman didn't win anyway. Like, she probably had no chance at the nationals, but it's because she only just didn't make it through that she's now complaining. And none of the other races are none of the other people there were complaining. Just her. And so I know that the Alliance Defending Freedom is representing her in court or something. So that's
yeah. I mean, I guess that's another issue. I mean, everyone's voice should be heard, but if you're the extreme minority, you shouldn't be controlling the rest of society.
Yeah. And I think that when it comes to, like, I know that some people will sort of say that, you know, LGBTQ is a minority, but and therefore they shouldn't be controlling society. But the thing is, we're just trying to give LGBTQ people the same rights that everyone else has. Right?
Oh, absolutely, and they should, because they're citizens, you know?
Yeah. Like
I was talking more about the person complaining.
Oh, yeah, true. But yeah...
you said was only that one person out of all the people competing, so...
yeah.
We could talk about transgender in sports. Do you want to get onto that topic? Because that might take a little while.
That is a topic that is very... like, when you get into like in-depth discussions, it becomes a very murky topic, honestly. I've seen things on it that I just think that we should switch to a sports system where it's just simply we take a look at the attributes that are likely to affect people, right? So something like height, for certain sports, is likely to affect how...
And weight.
Yeah, height and weight. They're things that are likely to affect your performance. So therefore, I think that sports categories should be more based on those, rather than just being like, okay, let's divide people into two groups by the simplest thing, boys and girls.
Yeah, because women's sports are inherently sexist. The reason that we have women's sports is because women don't want to compete against men, because men are more, on average, are much more muscular and more likely to hurt other people. So, yeah, women don't want to compete with that. They just want to compete with people more on their level. Sport is inherently unfair, because those who are the more athletic are more likely to succeed.
Yeah.
Big fat guys like me, we're not going to succeed. So it's unfair in that sense. So whether or not you were born a man or a woman is really just another factor of different attributes. It's really irrelevant. The fact that we have women's sports is sexist in itself, but you probably wouldn't have many women competing if it was just on. You'd have to have different grades, and of course, people wouldn't watch the lower grades. It's all a market thing, I guess, in the end.
Yeah, I think that it's good that women can compete in sports. I just think that it's, and I do think that there needs to be ways to ensure that women aren't just going to be completely pushed out of sports due to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I say sexist, but it's a sexism our society accepts because we want it.
Yeah, I think that it should be one of them things where we take the relevant, the things that are relevant. So. It could be things like testosterone levels might affect your performance in sports, and then base the categories off of them, rather than being because what about like, let's say testosterone is relevant. Okay, what about a guy that doesn't produce a lot of testosterone? There are those people that exist. So should they be barred from? Should they?
Is what you're saying? Yeah.
Should they? No. Should the bar be too high for them to be able to get in? Maybe they want to be a sports star, but they just don't have enough testosterone to compete with anyone in their category.
Or what if someone's really old and fat but wants to be a sports star? I mean, this is the point I'm making about it being inherently unfair, because we are all physically different, and there'll be some exceptional people, and they're the ones we see getting gold medals at Olympics, who happen to have attributes that help them win most of the time compared to everyone else. And it's whether that. I said the transgender element's just another factor amongst height, weight, muscle strength, testosterone, all these sort of things. We're certainly not going to be, if you're going to allow people to compete based on their testosterone levels, I mean, what other things are we going to have to test for? It just sort of compartmentalizes it too much. You're just going to say, look, whoever's the best is the best. That's where it started, and because more people wanted it to be fair, and fair is a subjective term. It's devolved into different categories and that sort of thing, and it's probably gone too far. We need to roll it back again, and that's just the human nature anyway. So.
Yeah. S. Thurston in chat says boxing has weight bands to control amount of difference. That leads to people using extreme dieting to drop into the lower band. Are they quote unquote cheating?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the kind of, is that a question that we can answer? When we start putting all these different factors on how we're going to arrange our competitions, there's always another one coming along. So where do you stop? And if you don't stop, it loses all meaning. So to win that medal, it just seems that they're trying too hard to cater for everyone, but ignoring the point, which is who's the fastest.
Yeah, but
they should cater for more people, but that there's a cost to that, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, I do like the idea of different categories, but the categories need to be actually relevant, I think, rather than it just being you're a woman, so therefore you go in this category. You're a man, so therefore you go in this category. I think that's a really arbitrary category, and it'd be better to have categories that divide people in a way that's that's better. So anyway, the next thing that
can I just make one more point? It's also the way people view it that's part of the problem. Like the SAS doesn't have any restrictions on male or female, but because it's an incredibly grueling training program, hardly any women get into the SAS at all, because on average women just don't develop the physical attributes they need to pass that test. That's not being sexist, because anyone can do the test. It's the same applied to everyone, but many people will say it is sexist because women aren't getting there. That's the way we look at it also affects it.
There is also like things to that like that does get into a really complicated subject. Like it could be that we could make it more fair on people, right? Because it could be that but they're not doing it to be fair. They're trying to get the best soldiers they can to achieve the objectives of the army. So but then there's also it also depends on how you go about it as well. Like there's, as I said, it's a very complicated subject. Like if you are doing something just so that you can get the best, and the best is like based on physical attributes, then it is hard to argue that it's sexist, because of the simple fact. Well, it's one of them things where it's not it's not one of these sexist things where it's like caused by people's decisions. I'm trying to work out how to word this in a particular way. Like because it's not inherently. It's not one of these things where it's like, oh, you're a woman, so you're not allowed in. It's more of, if that woman bulked up to the point where they could get in, or whatever you want to say, then yeah, they could get in, but it's that woman does have a disadvantage because
just by being born a woman. But it's not so much the fact that she's a woman that's the problem; it's the fact that they need a certain level, which on average women can't reach.
Yeah, and then
on average, there's always exceptional women.
Yeah, but then there's also the fact that there are men that just don't have the ability to bulk up as much as other men.
Yeah, I couldn't get in the SAS. So
yeah, and
so it's fair in that sense.
Yeah, so there are probably some men that want to be police officers or want to be in the SAS that just can't because they because it could be something due to genetics that they just don't have that ability to be as well built as other people. I am probably one of the people that if I wanted to get into the ASS, that would be a pipe dream that I'm glad I don't have.
Wait, the ASS?
You
want to get into the arse?
I mean the SAS.
Oh, right. I thought it was a New Zealand version of the SAS. ASS.
That would be a very nice thing to get into.
You'd like to get into us, okay. Do you smell vanilla?
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed it earlier on. It seems to have gone away now, though.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, it still smells like it's lingering around. Yeah.
I hate vanilla.
But anyway, Australian Special Services. That could be. It's not logged in. But anyway,
yes, it's wrong that medical people should be able to refuse treatment of non-cis people, I guess. It's just ridiculous.
So why is this still an issue? Is what I'm asking. So this is something that says if people reject the creational norm, and it's men plus woman, then anything goes. Men plus woman, woman, woman. Men plus woman plus woman. Man plus man divided by woman plus or man plus man divided by woman plus woman. Man plus question mark. I mean, as this person here says, gonna fuck a question mark.
Where's the woman plus question mark?
That is a good question, but like, here's something that I actually would. Now, obviously, the man plus question mark is a bit questionable, but you know,
by definition,
yeah. But everything else on there is actually, I'm not sure what the divided by sign is there for, but everything else is like pretty reasonable.
I think the slash here it means or, man and man, or women and women, so homosexual basically.
Yeah, like all this actually seems pretty reasonable, especially this one here. You know, this top one here, right? That seems pretty good. But like I'd definitely be.
Well, if you're the man, yeah. I don't know about the women.
Well, as long as everything's consensual, right? Like,
well, we're assuming that something with a dress is a woman, of course, and something without a dress is a man.
Oh yeah,
it is a standard symbol, I guess.
Yeah, but like any argument that can be made against any of these can probably be made against this here, honestly. But like, you know, it's one of the things where I don't have a problem with anything here. As I said, like the man plus question mark, I don't know what that question mark is meant to be, but you know,
so
as long as that question mark
Well, maybe BCL, maybe. But is the intention of this to push people away from the green situation or push them towards it? Because the way they're presenting it, if you reject the creational norm, it looks like a lot of fun's going to happen.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know, like, as I said, like, the question mark, as long as the question mark is a human, there's nothing wrong with with it. As long as it's two humans, and as long as it's only two humans, then, you know, and the thing is, the same arguments were made against. People don't realize this, but the same arguments that are being made against things like homosexuality, those arguments were made against interracial marriage back in the day. It's basically one of them things where they're recycling the same arguments, and people have forgotten that it was the same people that were arguing against interracial marriage back in the day. So, you know.
Well, yeah, people will always be hypocrites.
Yeah. And
the degree of hypocrisy might change, but they'll always be hypocrites.
Charisma and the Derp Squirrel says, my relationship isn't even on there.
So I hesitate to ask.
maybe it's like guy plus guy plus guy, or guy plus girl plus guy, you know, something like that.
Well, presuming Christmas is a guy, I've spoken to him, he sounds like a guy. Yeah. Presumably he means there's more than one, the second last one, there's more than one guy involved. Oh, polyamorous, he says. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm all in favour of polyamorous and polyamory and all that kind of jazz, because, like, why does it have to be just one? Why does it just have to be like two people together and then they can't, you know, be with anyone else?
Well, it depends on the purpose of the relationship, of course. If you're building a future together and you want to raise children and that sort of thing, it usually generally works better if it's just one person and you know everyone else is excluded. But I'm just looking on average. You know, I'm not saying it's not possible otherwise.
Yeah, like you could have a relationship that's got three people and you all help raise a kid.
Yeah,
you know, nothing wrong with that. I
think Christmas' relationship is there. He's the question mark.
Could be, yeah. He says him and two women. I mean, the second one there looks like two women.
Yeah, so if you take the two women from the one above and make them the question mark, you've got Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the second one, yeah, it has a man and two women.
Yeah.
Well, you know, assuming the gender of these symbols.
Yeah. But the next one is...
Oh, just before we move on, I just want to quote, you know, we're talking, there's obviously a lesbian relationship there, and I just want to quote the immortal words of Jeremy Clarkson. I love lesbians.
Absolutely. But Asia Alex tweeted, Japan Asahi Shimbun poll, should same-sex marriage be permitted? 65% of people said yes, 22% of people said no, 13% of people said don't know. And then this person here responded saying, fuck off, leftists should be physically removed from Japan.
Interesting that, I don't know if Asahi does anything other than beer, but a poll from a beer company on this. Of course, beer creates a lot of children.
Sometimes, but I think it's one of them things where it's a place as well as a beer, so maybe a lot of people in Asahi drink beer, so.
I think they do other things than beer, but they do a very nice beer. But yeah, interesting. Usually the Japanese are polite, so that if that guy Haru List is Japanese, it's an interesting reaction.
Haru Hiest.
Oh, here's it's two eyes, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Bit fuzzy to my eyes.
Oh, I was making a reference to Heath.
Yes.
Heath has two eyes.
Oh, I got that bit.
Yeah. But yeah, so when it comes to this, like, So because people are disagreeing with you, you think that they should be removed from the country that you're in? That, I don't know, that sounds very fascist.
Yeah, I think one of the last stages of growing up is to realise that if someone disagrees with you, that's okay. You know? I mean, they can make their case as long as you're allowed to make your case as well. That's fine, you know?
Especially when it's the majority of people are disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why democracy works, the majority rules.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know, as I said, why is same-sex marriage still an issue? I really don't get it. Why are...
Well, I think I presume Japan is going through the debate right now, whereas, you know, a lot of majority of Western countries anyway have already gone through it. I mean, Ireland went through it pretty much first, and Ireland, one of the most conservative religiously nations on the planet, at least they used to be, you know, they basically went for this first. So, you know, it's a painful debate because people have firmly held beliefs. So, you know, it's always going to be a painful birth. But once it's through, like, and certainly in Australia, it's no one really thinks anything more about it because we had the debate, everyone had their say, and the majority ruled, and we're getting on with it, you know?
Yeah. It's one of them things where... I think a lot of people try to make it this left versus right thing, but in reality it's not. It's just about whether you accept that gay people should be allowed the same rights as everyone else. And honestly, gay people should have the same rights as everyone else. I don't see why...
Yeah, the same way that tiddlywink players should have the same right as everyone else. You know, everyone has different attributes. That's what makes our society so interesting.
Yeah.
Whether it's your sexual preference or your game preference or the type of car you drive, it doesn't really matter to whether or not the law should apply to you in a different way. You know, as long as the law applies equally, then that's what matters.
Yeah, the way that I like to put it is we're all attracted to certain types of people, right? I shouldn't be disqualified for... I shouldn't be... it shouldn't be that I'm not allowed to get married just because I've decided that I'm attracted to a certain type of person. And, like, let's say I'm attracted to... let's say that I decide I'm attracted to heavier people, right? And
ooh, I'm in there.
And
the heavier the better, I presume. So you must be really attracted to me.
Now, I shouldn't be disqualified from being able to get married just because I'm not attracted to people that are my own weight. Now, just for the record, I am attracted to people that are my own weight. But, like, let's say that there was that arbitrary rule that you've got to be within 20 pounds of each other to be able to get married.
What's a pound? That's money, isn't it?
20 kgs, let's say.
All right, that sounds better.
Yeah.
This is the world, you know. It's the internet. We've got to talk metric.
Yeah. But
just before you go on, AT2 Productions does a good comment. If gay people want to be miserable too, then of course they can marry.
Yeah. No, I'm honestly not big into marriage. Like, people ask me when I'm getting married, I'm like, I'm not wanting to get married anytime soon. I'm really not wanting to get married anytime soon. Like, that seems like a whole ordeal that that involves money and things. Stuff that I don't have much of. And you got to live with...
What do you mean? I give you $50 a month?
Yeah, I mean...
You can't live on that?
I'm able to live on it. It's just I don't have much of... what's the word? Disposable income.
So make sure you become a channel member. Click that join button down below. And if you want, become a Patreon, or what else you got?
There's going to be... I should actually be receiving merch today. So there's actually like this thing. I think that I think that there's actually, and this is an egg T-shirt that should be arriving like probably today or tomorrow. So, I mean, hell, I could let me pin some merchandise just for the hell of it, because I do know that it's coming today or tomorrow, and as soon as I get it, I'm gonna start. There we go. Let's pin this one. I hope that's the. I can't tell which one is the males and which one is the female. We'll just go with this one. There we go, pin. There's also the thing that you can do. You can buy merchandise that says, "This is an egg."
There we go.
Oh, I didn't want to click on that. But yeah. Anyway,
Speaking of this is an egg, isn't it delicious the way that Bob and Sleeping Idiot are going at each other?
I've heard a little bit about that, but I haven't heard a whole lot. Only thing I've heard is from sarcastic barman.
The funniest thing about Riley is that he just refuses to learn. And that's what makes him so funny.
Yeah.
So yes, buy Planet Walks merch, but probably the Patreon and membership is probably the best way of doing it, not to mention Super Chats. I haven't seen a Super Chat yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Super Chat either.
Poke, poke, poke.
We do have a member in chat, I have noticed, Adam.
Oh, I'm not a member, I'm a Patreon.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, here's a... Oh, okay, yeah, here we go. So, we've got Quackery Detector here, saying quack, 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 quack. So this Dr. Sunil Jain says, correct me if I'm wrong, but officially I don't think there's been a single death linked to the COVID vaccine, despite over 1,500 deaths reported to the vaccine adverse event reporting system. VERS.
What country are we talking about here? That seems low for the US or India or places like that.
Well, they're
getting that every day there. So.
The thing is, I'm not sure where this is. I think this is America. But if we do a quick check on what is being reported through VERS, let me bring it up.
You got a super chat, by the way.
I'm always here.
Oh,
yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Comes up.
Like mines.
Yeah, so let's show what this is. So this is VERS, and so someone's saying, if you're the kind of person who takes a deaths reported number from VERS and claims that all the deaths are caused for the vaccine, you're a piece of trash, right? So we've got tested positive and had symptoms for COVID-19, admitted to hospital on this date in the ICU and died. It's about 14 days later. All right.
Bull.
Here you go. Bring me on.
This is one of the things where it's like I've got a particular group chat that I've got for this, so I don't I like to limit the amount of people that are in this. Like patrons, $50 patrons do I do rotate them in and out of Russia Stupid. But yeah, there's a really good one. Oh, here we go. Resident fell out of her chair and was transferred to the ER with a diagnosis of a myocardial infarction and passed away in the ER.
So a heart attack, in other words.
Yeah. And they claim that that's from a vaccine.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not enough information to make a judgment. I mean, how old was that patient? Was it her? So how old was she? What was her medical history? I mean, you can't just sort of draw a conclusion on the information available.
Yeah.
You need to find out more.
Yeah.
Just read full report. I guess there is more available. So.
It's one of them things where where basically anyone can submit a thing to VS, and like if you go through them, like you realize that they're just saying, "Oh, we had the vaccine and then we died." So, like, you do realize that just because you've had a vaccine and then you died like shortly after, that doesn't mean that it was the fault of the vaccine. And looking at these people, age 74, age 83, age 89, age 96.
Yeah, this is just typical conspiracy nutters, which include flat earthers. They only search for the amount of information that suits them. They ignore everything that contradicts them and present the stuff that they think suits them. And as soon as you dig down further, you find out, hang on a minute. But they don't seem to. They feel justified by what they found. So it's just so easy to debunk these guys because they're just sloppy researchers.
This is actually a really good one. PT tested positive for COVID on the 2nd of 15th, 2021. Passed away about 12. It'd be about 8 days.
Why do Americans put their dates around the wrong way?
8 days.
What's that? 15th of February to 23rd of February. Yeah.
Yeah. Not listed as COVID death on death certificate. Maybe. This is actually one of these things where, if this is true, then...
Ball.
Thank you for entertaining me through some difficult times. Got the Johnson one shot, so obviously I'm autistic now. 148 toothpicks pancakes on Sunday.
Yeah,
that chap.
What's that?
That chatbot has a sexy voice.
Yeah, I think I've set it to be like a particular version of the voice rather than just going with the standard one that everyone uses. But yeah, like I'm glad that you enjoy watching the show.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that they've gone through difficult times, and I'm glad I'm part of Planet Walk helping you get through those. That's great.
And yeah, if you get vaccines, I actually think that a requirement to get vaccinated is being autistic. I think that unless you're autistic, you don't get vaccinated. that explains the link that some people supposedly find between vaccines and autism.
No, I think most people should get vaccinated. I think that's a bad thing to... Yeah, well, everyone who's autistic should get vaccinated, and everyone else as well. It's there's side effects to everything. Yeah. Even eating has side effects, but it's not a reason not to do it. You look at what we did with the smallpox vaccine. Smallpox has been eradicated from the human race. That misery is something that none of our descendants will ever have to go through.
Well, it does seem that like everyone these days is on the spectrum, but it's one of them things where I think that it's just like people are being diagnosed better than they used to be, and that's why there's so many cases of autism these days. Because I think ADHD is even considered on the spectrum these days. So it's just expanding.
Well, plus the fact that there's a spectrum. By definition,
yeah.
Everyone is to some extent. That's what a spectrum means. You wonder who's on each extreme, what they look like.
Yeah, I feel like the people that are on the extreme without autism would be. I actually think that they'd be very boring people. No offense to anyone who's like on the extreme of not having autism at all, but I feel like those people would be very boring to interact with.
Very little autism. Yeah, it probably would be. Yeah,
but yeah, like when it comes to this, a lot of conspiracy theory people say, "Oh, COVID's being listed as cause of death on too many death certificates, even when it's not the cause of death." Well, what about this here? When this person tested positive for COVID, and then it wasn't listed on death certificate. Obviously, there's at least some thing where they go, okay, this wasn't a COVID death because of whatever reason, and so it's not being listed on the death certificate. Maybe it was that maybe it was that the thing that actually killed them wasn't actually COVID, but instead it was something like a heart attack that wasn't induced by having COVID, or I don't know, something else. Maybe they just got COVID and the COVID wasn't what killed them, it was something completely different.
Yeah, regardless, the COVID wouldn't have helped, put it that way.
True.
Just as having a broken leg doesn't help either.
Absolutely. Hopefully you haven't broken a leg.
So, to say that it's irrelevant is not valid. Anything you have is going to contribute to your death.
Yeah.
You just might have what they put on the death certificate is your major cause. If you have a heart attack, that's what they're going to put there.
Yeah.
I did hear during the height of the pandemic anyway, which, well, you could argue we're in that now, but back when it first started, hospitals were encouraged to put COVID deaths on the death certificates so that their stats would go up and they could attract more funding to fight COVID as a result. There's always human factors, I guess, is the only point I'm trying to make there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. COVID's out there. People are dying from it. So that's the truth. And that's what we need to protect against, though, that we personally don't die, the people we love don't die, and the majority of our society gets through this.
It's still it's one of them things where a lot of people have this idea, and this is the reason why a lot of people were sort of wondering about the death statistics from COVID, because people have this idea that whatever gets put on the death certificate is the thing that causes the most damage, right? So if it's pneumonia, then it shouldn't be COVID on the vaccine, not on the vaccine, on the death certificate. It should be pneumonia, whereas in actual fact, if COVID causes them pneumonia, then that's a COVID death, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the long-term effects of COVID is that it basically destroys all the things in your lungs that enable you to transfer oxygen into the bloodstream. And that's pretty close to what pneumonia is, which is fluid in the lungs, and which also destroys the same thing. So I forget what they're called now. I used to know what they were. We're back to get a ball. I forget where I was going with that, but yeah, the main point is that it's not something you want, and we should try to avoid it.
My cousin drank water, and now they're autistic. Water causes autism, but the fluoridated water shut up.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I drank water, and then I had ADHD. So
I've drunk water all my life, and haven't died yet.
Yeah,
but maybe water creates life.
I mean, I can confirm that 100% of people who died drank water at some point.
That's right. Or breathed air.
Yeah, so water's deadly, guys.
Perhaps drove or rode in a car as well. I mean, that's probably pretty serious.
But yeah, when it comes to this, like when it comes to the vaccine adverse event reporting system, that's not a good thing to go off. Just because someone reports to there doesn't mean that they've died.
Yeah. I actually looked at the website.
Doesn't mean that they've died because of the vaccine, should I say.
I actually looked at the website, and it has a reference to USA.gov, so I presume it's an American government organisation, which is a bit scary.
Oh. Kurbotai says it's like AIDS. You don't die from AIDS, but whatever makes
HIV.
Yeah, but whatever it makes you get, you die from that. You still, like, if you didn't have AIDS, you wouldn't die from the flu, basically. Oh, you might die from the flu, but it wouldn't. AIDS is going to guarantee you die from the flu, basically.
Well, almost everyone who dies at an advanced age, I guess, dies from a urinary tract infection. That's the last thing that sort of finishes you off. It's just the way diseases work. It shuts down everything. Your immune system shuts down.
Yeah.
And the first thing to get it is your urinary tract, and that means your kidneys shut down. Your brain isn't getting cleaned of all the stuff it doesn't want in there, and you get into a bit of delirium, and then you die. And so but no one says you died of a urinary tract infection, like my dad died of prostate cancer. But the urinary tract infection was the last thing he got, which is the thing that finished him off.
Yeah.
And it was because the prostate cancer had reduced his immune system. So, it's. I don't think it should be up to us to make these sort of decisions. It's up to medical people to decide what goes on the death certificate.
Yeah, and like people like me and you, we wouldn't have the medical knowledge to be able to say, "Oh, this is what killed this person." You know, it's like like when it is going back to this, like I can make guesses as to why COVID wasn't listed on the death certificate, but it's not. I wouldn't be able to guarantee either way. Firstly, because I don't know what was going on, but secondly, because I'm not a medical expert and I can't. I cannot personally make that judgment. I cannot make a final judgment on that. So.
Yeah, and yet these people presume to by saying that this is some sort of conspiracy. So
yeah.
That
Height of
not knowing something doesn't stop conspiracy nutters.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to this thing here. Where Utah governor signs bill to require cell phones and tablets to automatically block porn. There is a catch, though.
Yeah.
So the catch is that 5 other states must adopt it, right? For it to be implemented. And so, essentially, it's one of them things where, so, Representative Susan Pulsifer, who introduced the legislation, noted that the law was simply a tool to help with good parenting and that adults would be able to turn off the filters for themselves should they choose to do so. So, in other words, this really isn't going to do anything, is it?
No, it's not going to stop you looking at porn if you're a Mormon.
Yeah. Like
it's mandating parental controls on phones, which I don't understand why it wasn't that way in the first place.
Well, I think that the thing is, it sort of just blocks it by default, right?
Yeah. And if you're an adult, you've got to verify that you're an adult, and so you can access it. So
it's one of them things where I don't even think that you've got to verify that you are an adult. Like, what's your phone going to do? Like, ask for like ID or something? No, it's just gonna be one of them things.
Well, Facebook asks for ID now if you want to set up a new account. You're supposed to show, send your driver's license or something like that. So I don't see why this can't do that.
Well, it's your phone, It's one of them things where, like, I don't think that phones should be asking for ID so that you can use a particular feature. I'm just not too.
So how do parents stop children accessing, websites that they don't want them seeing?
Well, you can set up. There are multiple ways that you can set up filters on a phone, and then make it, make it so that there's a password that the kid doesn't know. Here's the thing: when I was a kid, the only time that my mum set up my phone, it was a phone that couldn't even access the internet. I've still got the phone, by the way. It was a phone that couldn't access the internet, and it was it had a number pad on it as well. That's how old that phone was.
What's a BlackBerry or something?
No, it was a Nokia, and it has a cracked screen. Yeah, I know. I managed to break a Nokia. That surprises everyone. So, the second phone that I got, I completely set it up myself. My mum didn't have a role in me setting up my setting up my phone, and that phone could access the internet. Although back then, accessing the internet I couldn't access Wi-Fi off the phone, so it was very expensive to access the internet. So no porn for me. You know,
you use your mate's phone instead.
Something like that, right? But
I think there should be some sort of controls on children, though. In some way, better controls than there are at the moment. I mean, you can buy software, but it never seems to work, and they always seem to find ways around it.
Yeah, like
I don't know how you do it. I don't have a solution in that regard, but I think we've had a generation exposed to a whole lot of things that previous generations weren't exposed to. And
I
you know, as children as they develop, are a bit susceptible to certain things at certain points, and that's up to the parents to control that, not whatever they find on the internet.
I think it's one of them things where people will always be exposed to different things that parents wouldn't want them exposed to.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's ever going to be perfect.
Yeah, and
I think it's extreme for the current generation.
Yeah, like it used to be that the children would find their dad's Playboy magazines, right? Now they don't need to get their dad's Playboy magazines. They just need to go online and find whatever's online. This bill isn't going to do anything to change that, because here's the thing: kids will be able to find it regardless. All you have to do is all I have to do is I have to go on Google and type in, I think it's nude, and then go to.
You're not going to do it live, are you?
Well, you're not going to see it. Yeah, I type in nude, and immediately I get a whole lot of porn that comes up just by going into Google and turning off safe search.
Yeah,
that's something that, sure, they might be able to do something that stops that, but there's still going to be.
Or we could lock the safe search for a children's phone.
Yeah, you could lock this.
Parent locks it. That is.
But then it's the case of, firstly, if the parents aren't that good with technology, then, well, I'm sorry to say that if it's...
And give them a phone.
Well, yeah, if the parents not good with technology, then your kid's going to be able to, even if it's put on by default, your kid's going to be able to turn it off. And, that's wouldn't be too hard to do. If adults can turn off the filters, the kids can definitely turn them off. And secondly, there's other ways to get porn. Like, Discord is a great way to get porn.
Really? I haven't discovered that.
Yeah, you can get porn on Discord. There's heaps of sites to get porn, whether it be OnlyFans, Discord, Pornhub, and sure, this will stop some of them, but a lot of them will fall through the cracks. And then there's a certain age where the kid's gonna find porn anyway, whether it be a friend sending porn to them or whatnot. They're gonna find it, I think about the age of 14 is probably when most kids have discovered porn, except for a couple.
Yeah, I understand, but it's like I said, it can affect your development because, first of all, setting unrealistic expectations. If you're a little tiddler and you're seeing this guy with a great big dong, you're going to feel a bit insecure. And when you're at that age, the hormones are flowing and you're socially awkward, that could stunt your development. It's not unheard of.
But then there's also
So this is why the parents need to manage it, is what I'm getting at.
Then there's also peeing in a urinal, and then
not to mention donkey porn.
Yeah, peeing in a urinal. I hate urinals. I really do hate peeing at a urinal.
What, you pee on the floor?
No, it's more that I get really uncomfortable if other people come in, right? Because it's like
a public one. Okay.
I don't like when other people like when I'm peeing. I don't like other people looking at my dick. I just do not like that.
Why? Isn't it impressive?
I just I really
But
don't.
they usually have screens either side, so the guy standing next to you can't see.
Not in New Zealand. We've just got this wall that you pee on, and sometimes
The big troughs. Yeah.
Yeah, and even in Australia, there's the wall. Like, I think that it should just be like. I like the idea of basically whole lot of what is it called? Unisex toilets. I just like the idea of that because,
there's issues there.
You don't get judged by the person next to you, basically.
Well, if you've got nothing to be ashamed of, you don't care about that.
Yeah, but
what I do have, the cinema that I often go to has one of those big troughs rather than the individual urinals. That's what I was thinking of, the individual ones. They have screens either side, so the guy next to you can't see. But the big, long troughs, which you often find in parks and things like that because it's the cheapest form, I always find it uncomfortable when I go in and there's a child there. Because there's a child there and you're getting your dick out. And he's got his dick out, and that's all a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Benderlight says the worst are the bathrooms where you can't tell the difference between the urinal trough and the hand washing trough. Oof.
Yes, and some people can't tell the difference based on what's in it.
John Eagle says, "Do what I do and don't give a shit." I've found that very hard. Like I try not to, but I just find it. I just can't pee if I think that someone else might walk in.
If you don't give a shit, won't you eventually explode?
True.
You're not using urinals for that. I hope not. There was a South Park episode about that, wasn't there? Using the urinal.
In fact, he says, next time stand back 4 feet and still hit the target. They will be impressed.
I don't know about impressed. They probably think you're a bit disgusting, but...
Mr. Andrew,
especially if you miss the target.
Mr. Andrew says, "Easy. Are you judging the guy next to you? That's how like it's not so much that I'm worried about the like. It's just one of these things where I just cannot like, regardless of whether it's male, female. I don't care what your gender is. If I'm peeing around you, I find it very difficult to pee. I just even if I'm
you brought up.
Like even
you brought up to think of it as a very personal thing, yeah.
Yeah, even if I'm busting, right? And I just... It's like, I suppose it's like some guys have trouble with getting hard in certain situations. I have trouble with peeing in certain situations.
People have trouble getting hard?
I know that some people have trouble getting hard in certain situations. You know.
I don't. Always poking my eye out.
Yeah. I just noticed someone. Okay, I was just taking a look at a message that I got. Anyway, on to the next thing. So, here we go with with what sounds like a plot of a shitty action movie, right? Steven says on what seems to be something like Parler or something, saying JFK Jr. never died. He faked his death after learning about the Clintons' assassination attempt. The airplane he was about to get in was lined with C4, triggered to go off at a certain altitude. He and his best friend Donald J. Trump, also some higher-level generals and scientific geniuses, devised a master plan to avenge the death of his father and save the human race from the Luciferian pedophile cult.
So this guy know Daniel Pratt by any chance? Or?
Maybe
I love the way he gave all the evidence to support everything he said. It was just brilliant.
he kind of looks. He actually. Hold on. Let me.
I like Booty Eater's response. People need their internet access taken away for this guy. And to up their meds, the next guy said.
View image. He kind of looks a bit. He has the same mouth as Daniel Pratt. He looks a little bit like Daniel Pratt, doesn't he?
Well, he's got more hair. He's got that sort of has been punched in the face several times. Look that Daniel Pratt has.
Yeah, he's got this. He looks like he could be Daniel Pratt. Like, I'm not even joking. It's not complete 1-to-1, but like if his hair went whiter and like if his beard went whiter and all that, and he lost some of the hair at the back there, yeah, he could feasibly end up looking like Daniel Pratt. And he's got the lazy eye as well, or what looks like a lazy eye.
Unless he's sort of doing the Spock sort of thing, but. Keith Newton says he's Pratt's son. Well, that assumes Pratt knows how to do it. And Pratt's such an idiot, I wouldn't be surprised that he didn't know how to do it. You know, insert tab A into slot B, that kind of thing.
But yeah.
That's his approach.
But yeah, that does look a bit like Daniel Pratt. Just a bit. Not 1-to-1, though.
The poor bastard.
Yeah. Like, I like how they're like, and scientific geniuses, right? Like as if scientific, like, here's the thing: scientific genius or people that do science, they're generally more worried about like scientific experiments and all that, rather than trying to save the human race from, like, what would they even do? Like, develop a new type of nuclear weapon or something? I don't know. It's more for, like, the high level generals could do that, could devise a master plan or whatever, but I don't know why scientific geniuses would be on there. Like, do they think that Stephen Hawking is going to devise a plan to save the human race?
Well, why would they have anything to do with loading C4 on a plane? You don't need to be a scientific genius to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Donald Trump and JFK Jr. were friends. I mean, I guess it makes sense because they're both New Yorkers and both sort of in the power game. This is obviously long before he became president. Trump became president. So, you know, but he was a big man around New York, being a major property developer there and elsewhere in America. So it wouldn't be surprising to me that they did know each other. But yeah, it's the first time I've heard that they were best friends.
Yeah. But speaking of, like, scientific geniuses, there's something that I forgot to bring up earlier, and that was this meme. This meme here. It's just a four-panel thing where a scientist writes some equations, does an experiment, and it appears that my hypothesis was correct. Hypothesis. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Hang on. If he has no idea what he's doing, how does he know his hypothesis that he has no idea what he's doing is correct? Paradox!
Yeah, I wanted to get AB Science on to see if this was correct, but unfortunately it's a bit late for him over in the UK.
You could put Riley's face there, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, like that. That is definitely Riley there.
And he'd be saying, "Yes, victory! I've confirmed my hypothesis," even though his hypothesis shows that he doesn't know what he's doing. But.
I know that Jason, who's in the chat, would be on that. And Jason, I actually am wondering if Jason would like to have another debate, like either next week or a couple of weeks after that.
Was he that guy you had on a couple of weeks ago?
It would have been like about a month ago-ish now.
And he just made no sense whatsoever. Is that guy?
Yeah.
Well, they all do, I guess. But
Yeah. So he's one of these people that would be interesting to have another conversation with. I've kind of figured out a tactic for him.
What do you mean another conversation? That was no conversation.
Oh yeah, it was.
He was just spewing out rubbish.
Yeah, that was something that he was doing.
Yeah. A conversation involves two people and they exchange ideas and consider that what the other person is saying. That's what a conversation is. That wasn't what was going on in that situation.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll be interesting to have another one. Although I've got ulterior motives as well, so don't worry. I always have ulterior motives. Aside from just everyone does, honestly. Like I think that Jason has his ulterior motives.
They just try to be a nuisance, really. They just want to, because you're a reasonably big channel, 11,000 plus subscribers. They want to get their face on you, so more people get to see you, and hopefully a few other idiots will see him and subscribe to him and all that kind of thing.
I don't think that he is a channel that he'd just that people would subscribe to.
So he's just a nuisance, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
An idiotic nuisance.
Yeah. Anyway, wait, did I forget to... I think I forgot to...
Quite childish, too. Parasitic worms? Jeez. Can't you do better than that? You're an adult now.
Like, the thing is, like, when it comes to the whole thing about parasitic worms, it may... Like, I am considering the fact that maybe I have worms, right? And maybe I should go and get checked up. But that doesn't mean that he's completely correct on all that, right? And it's one of them things where I might not have worms, and therefore it might be, holy shit, maybe I haven't been eating enough meat recently, and I've actually been eating a little more meat recently, and I've actually been feeling a bit more lively, should we say. And so maybe it's just that I need to get more meat in me, So,
yeah, meat is brain food, so that helps you in many ways.
Are you going to eat a big old plate of bacon?
Bacon.
I did. I had a nice breakfast yesterday. So I was walking home in the rain, right? And I decided to...
Rain in New Zealand?
Yeah, like it was like when I just decided to walk home, and this is like 9 a.m. No, oh yeah, it was about 9 a.m. I think in the morning. I started walking, and it was like nice, and I was like, okay, I'll take a bit of time to sort of relax, and then it started pissing down with rain, and I had to sort of take cover as I was every so often, and I decided to take cover at one of the fish and chip shops, and I was like, well, hold on a second.
Hang on. You said fish and chip shop. Aren't they in New Zealand fish and shops?
Oh, maybe you're just getting better at understanding my accent.
Or maybe you're speaking proper like what Wheeze does.
But anyway, I was like, oh wait, this place is open. So then I decided to go in, and there was like this breakfast deal, all-day breakfast. And essentially what it had is it was like some chips, an egg, sausages, and some bacon. And I was like, I might get that. And yeah, the bacon was really nice. Although one of the annoying things is that sometimes bacon can be a little bit stringy, and I prefer crispy bacon, honestly. But the bacon was definitely a little bit stringy, and I almost choked to death on it. So
I'm still a bit amazed. A fish and chip shop that does breakfast? You mean it was just a takeaway shop, or cafe?
Yeah, it was like a takeaway shop.
All right.
Yeah, we just like
I just did fish and chips as well.
Yeah, like any shop that sells fish and chips, or that's the main thing that you go to it for, we just call it a fish and chip shop. Even if there's like this particular shop had like fish everywhere, like you could buy fish, like fresh fish from this shop.
Oh, a fishmonger as well. Okay.
Yeah, and we still call it a fish and chip shop.
Or a fashion shop.
And so it's like, okay, well, I'm not too far from home. It's still pissing down with rain. I decided to go in, get a breakfast, and it was an all-day breakfast, so like.
So you waited all day.
Well,
for when you left, before you left, did you order Suxy Sucks Fish and Chops?
No.
Okay. Suxy 5 maybe.
But anyway, yeah, it was actually very filling. It was actually probably more filling than their other things that they've got on that were more expensive. So, you know,
Well, that's something that's definitely confirmed, that meat reduces your appetite.
okay.
Yeah, they've done also. I've seen all sorts of scientific research on that. So yeah, if you eat a lot of meat for breakfast, you probably don't need lunch. Really, you'll last through. And the other advantage of meat is that it's low carb, almost none, in fact. So if you're on the keto diet trying to lose weight, you'll eat a lot of meat. Of course, there's bad effects of that as well. You have to manage it, like everything. People seem to think you've got to be on extremes, but you don't. You can manage all sorts of things.
Yeah, like I'm not in favor of going completely just completely having meat, but I'm not entirely swayed that I should just go complete vegan either. It's like one of them things where vegetables are important. I will,
yes, definitely.
Every week,
fiber at least.
Every month I try and have at least one vegetable.
Yes, well, that's because all the others you bought are just rotted down in your crisper.
Yeah, but like, in all seriousness, yeah, like vegetables are important. One of my favorite burgers from Burger King is the salad burger. I actually very much like salad. Like, I love salads. And I know that some people in chat will disagree with me putting mayo on a salad, it's called salad dressing, but like it's basically like mayonnaise. Maybe it is different, but I put that on a salad and it tastes very nice. So
good salad cream.
Yeah, and that's what I have. That's basically what I have whenever Ken Wheeler stirs up his word salad. And
what was that guy? He is Philip Cornelis Aman. You saw him last weekend. He was on Brainy Beaver, The Plot Hole, and Team Skeptic. And yeah, I got out the word salad cream for him. I did a video on it actually.
Okay.
It was so childish, so childish.
Yeah. Anyway, on to the next thing. I keep on. Hold on. I think I know what I'm doing wrong here. Let's go. Copy link instead of copy image. There we go. There we go. Alright, so I saw this comment on Facebook where someone says, why can't System of a Down just quit the political bullshit and just make good music?
Okay, I have no idea what SOAD is. I know you just said it. That doesn't help me.
System of a Down is a band. Well known for songs like... their most popular song is Chop Suey. But then there's songs like BYOB, which stands for Bring Your Own Bombs.
You said bong, didn't you? B-O-N-G?
No, B-O-M-B.
Oh, okay. Well, we just got hooked up. The NSA are now watching this stream.
Like, the song is basically about the Iraq War. And, like... That was a thing. They also have created songs like Boom, which was about... Boom was also about the Iraq War. They've also written songs like ADD, which is about like how the American dream is basically like people have different visions of what the American dream is, and it's also against war. Yeah, so it's just like these people that say, "Oh, Rage Against the Machine is being too political lately," and it's like,
that's kind of the point, isn't it?
You haven't heard their music, have you?
Nah.
Yeah,
this is stuff. I was in my 40s when they came up along, I presume.
yeah.
Mr. Andrat's bonging. He's BIOB, but not the one you said. We got one. I've asked if people want me to time out Jason. I've asked for 5 seconders. I've got one. Are there any others? Two from BSD Box. 3 from King Aladdin. Need 2 more, and then we'll give him 5 minutes to think about what he's done.
Jason did say that he used to like mayonnaise, but then he tried vegan mayonnaise, and apparently it's good. And I'm not going to if anyone wants to be vegan, that is up to you, right? However, there's good reasons, and then there are bad reasons for being vegan.
And that's probably the main contention people have with vegans. They seem to do it as, I was going to say status symbol. That's not quite right. They want it's their mark on the world, and that's the wrong reason. If you're doing it for health reasons, that's a good reason.
Yeah, there are reasons. There are good reasons to try and. I wouldn't say to be vegan, but to try and consume less animal products, right? Health reasons is that's a pretty good reason.
Very valid reason. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing it for environmental reasons, that's all. I think that's also a good reason, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
If you're doing it for,
if you're doing it to be stand out in your social group, that's a bad reason.
Yeah, if you're doing it for another good reason is for ethical reasons, right? However, if you're doing it to try and you make your body alkaline to so that it won't house parasitic worms, that is a very bad reason because it's unscientific. There's no evidence to suggest that that's going to that's going to have an effect. And secondly, it's just like there are other ways to go about it, and you can't change your body to be more alkaline. And besides, like fruit and veggies, there's certain fruits that are pretty acidic, like if you have
pretty much all fruits are citric acid.
Yeah, like if you're having oranges are very nice, but they've got quite acidic. Your body will regulate
tomatoes.
Your body will regulate the amount of acid and all that's in your body.
Yeah, it's a matter of degree, isn't it? I mean, if you only ate oranges or tomatoes, then you might have a problem. But the fact that you eat other things, that your body gets a balance.
Yeah,
if you're eating properly.
Yeah, if your pH goes off by I think it's like, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think like 0.5. If that's the difference in pH of your body, then you've got problems. You've got like huge problems if your body deviates by 0.5 pH.
Yeah, your body's basically eating itself.
Yeah.
But the whole alkaline prevents cancer thing. You know why I know that's utter crap?
Why?
Because Flat Earth Aussie Roscoe says that it's true. It must be utter crap.
Yeah. But anyway, on to... Oh, that's not what I wanted to... I keep on making the same mistake. Oh, jeez.
You sound like a flurf. What the flurfs do is they say it's not a mistake, it's the truth.
Yeah, I keep on hitting copy image instead of copy link. Right. So, here we go. The predictions of the so-called conspiracy theorists have been consistently more accurate than the predictions of the so-called experts for a year straight now. Yeah. And do I need to go ahead and say and bring up these things where people are saying, "Oh, no more than 1,000 people will die from COVID-19"? Do I need to bring up that?
Not to mention those that say COVID-19 doesn't exist.
Yeah. The only thing that the only prediction that that I've seen conspiracy theorists make is that there'll be things like mandates, like mask mandates, and yeah, experts have been predicting that kind of stuff too.
You probably didn't need to be an expert to predict that. So,
yeah. In fact, experts were saying this is something that we should implement. It's more of one of these things that... It's one of the things where conspiracy theorists, they misunderstand experts' positions, right? Like, there's been this thing which I saw on Facebook where it was... where Queensland was saying that wearing a mask will... it was something to do with Queensland. They were saying... where
I am?
Yeah, where you are. They were saying wearing a mask has been proven to not decrease your risk of catching COVID-19. And it's like...
It's not about that.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a Queensland thing. I would have heard that.
Oh, it was from some... It's like Queensland Health District Health Board or something like that. This is on Facebook.
Well, if there's no district health board, but we have hospital and health services. I've worked in them, but I would that makes it. If that's what it said, then it's probably a dodgy source anyway. But even if they did say that, I'm sure there's context around it.
Yeah,
because they might have been saying. It doesn't. There's been no evidence to show that it decreases your risk of catching COVID-19, but it does decrease the risk of other people catching it from you if you happen to have it. I'm sure it says something like that.
Yeah,
full quote that is, because that's what they do. They pick what they choose, what they want.
Yeah. 5 minutes went fast. Jeez. And yeah. So this is what I want to, this is another thing that I saw. So this sounds like this is posted in r/Republican, them saying, "So, you want to see Donald Trump's tax returns? Do you also want to see the stock holdings of members of Congress along with their voting record on legislation that impacts the companies in which they invest? Be careful, hypocrisy can be a tricky thing." It's like, yeah, that would be a great... Yeah, can we actually see that?
I would have thought that was a matter of public record anyway, isn't it? You'd want to be able to see that in a democracy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I know that in Australia there's at least there are some things of transparency, and that's why John Barilaro... it was shown that John Barilaro has a lot of corruption, going on. Like, he's been very corrupt over there. Like, when it came to writing up the bill for Airbnb, right? He failed to declare that he held an asset that was a conflict of interest, and he was writing the law for it.
Yep, that's kind of essential.
And it's
I do understand once you reach a certain level of wealth, you're sort of not aware of all the investments you have. But if you're a politician, it's something you need to be focused on.
Yeah, like if you are...
Because in Australia, the laws don't only cover you as the politician, but your immediate family as well. You have to know what investments they have. They have to declare it.
Yeah. it's one of them things where, like, this was actually owned by John Barilaro, and his argument for why it wasn't a conflict of interest was basically stating that it was a conflict of interest. His argument for why it wasn't a conflict of interest was that he hadn't broken even yet.
Yes. If you're writing laws, it's about the future. It's not about where you are now.
Yeah. And it's like...
And if you might have made a poor investment, but that's your problem. It's not... You still need to declare it.
Yeah. And it's just like... But, like, stating that, I haven't broken even yet, so it's not a conflict of interest. It's like... Actually, it is a conflict of interest because you're promoted... basically, you've got an invested interest in making sure you do break even by making sure that the laws will make you enough money so that you can, at the very least, break even.
Yeah, it still puzzles me that people go into state and federal, which we have in Australia, Parliament to be corrupt, because the real corruption's at local government because no one's really watching you.
Yeah. Although I do think that there is a certain level of corruption at every level. There's a certain level of corruption.
Oh, yes.
Like, it's actually surprising
But
how much corruption there is. I think it's actually a little bit easier to find the corruption on state and local.
Well, the bigger the stakes, the more scrutiny, but also the more incentive to be corrupt. But that's why the scrutiny is meant to overwhelm that incentive. And that's what I'm saying about the local government, where there isn't much scrutiny and there's lots of corruption.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I recently went... about 3 months ago, I went to my local council because I noticed that there was actually this little bit which people were tripping over, to the point where people have actually... tripped like fully over, ended up on the ground because of this thing. I went to them about 3 months ago. There's still been nothing done about it. I think I went in December, so yeah, this is like over 3 months ago. I went in and said, "Hey, look, there's this thing that's a tripping hazard. Can we?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we'll take a look at it." Nothing has been done about it whatsoever. I've seen heaps of people just be walking along and then they end up on the ground. And that's just when I'm there.
Yeah. That's unusual because in Australia, at least, I don't know what it's like in New Zealand, but in Australia, councils are absolutely terrified of getting sued over such things. So usually if you report to them a pavement that isn't top notch and is a tripping hazard, they'll get out there and they'll fix it the next day because they don't want those lawsuits. It's just a waste of time and money to them.
Yeah, I might actually...
it's much cheaper to go and fix it.
I might actually see if there is any option of like saying, "Hey, look, I've complained about this before. If I have to come in and complain about it again, I'm gonna see what I can do."
But did you complain in person?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I would suggest going to the council's website. There's usually a place there to report such things, and that way you get a written record that you've done it. And I would also use the council's website to try and figure out who the building services manager or whatever they call it is, and contact them directly as well. If you want something to happen. Don't talk to the councillors, they're playing politics. You want to talk to the people who actually do the work.
Yeah. I just went in and said, "Hey, look, there's this thing." Next, I do know that I should probably take a photo of it and say, "This is the tripping hazard right here." Because essentially what it is it's about I think it's about half a centimetre where there's about half a centimetre of difference between one thing and another thing. And it's enough of a difference that people do trip over it.
if you can film people doing it, I guess, not that you want them to trip, but if you film people doing it, that'll be more of an impact to council. I guess they're thinking if it's just half a centimetre, which isn't a lot, that's not even a quarter of an inch, then they might have standards saying, it has to be an inch before they even worry about it.
Yeah, it's one of them things where I've seen heaps of people, and it's not something that happens every. Generally, people will have a little bit of a trip every day, but it's some days you won't get anything, and
yeah. Well, next time you're there, just turn your phone on and see what you can get.
Yeah, it's one of them things where I'd probably be filming for a long time, and there's a thing of filming without people's permission as well.
Well, you're in a public place, so it's not an issue.
But yeah, and also I don't have a lot of storage space left on my phone. But yeah.
Well, use your Nokia. Oh no, that doesn't have camera.
But anyway, let's talk about the bloody SJWs.
Just before we go in there, I probably need to go at the top of the hour or so.
Okay.
I don't know how long you're planning on going.
I have about 4 more things left after this.
All right. So we should be able to squeeze it in.
So this person here says, men, if a woman accuses you of rape, even if you didn't do it, you shut up, accept the charges. Women have been systematically oppressed for years, and you giving up some years for your freedom doesn't compare to the oppression that they've been through. And this is just...
what is wrong with this woman? She's promoting injustice.
Yeah, you have you ever heard the saying that 2 wrongs don't make a right?
Absolutely. And, all men aren't responsible for the actions of a few men, just like all women aren't responsible for the actions of a few women. That's what equality means. It's the same for both.
Apparently, it might actually be a parody account. So if that is true, then we've all been got. Let's see. Twitter.
Well, I've never heard of Emily Swaven before. Is she some Canadian celebrity or something?
I don't know. Let me check. Just got to wait for Twitter to actually load. At Emily Swaven. There we go. Found the account. Yeah, it does seem...
I've got to feed the corgis.
It does seem like it's a parody account. It's like Canadian activist, family of 4, stop the K word.
K word?
I don't know.
K? I can't think of anything offensive that starts with K.
And it's... They've also got, dear men, stop calling women thick. We can't control our curs. Why would you compliment us over something we have no control over?
Yeah, it sounds a bit...
yeah, it does sound like it's a
doesn't it?
Yeah, we need to cancel the question mark. I demand this heinous symbol of hate and domestic abuse removed. Yeah.
Yeah, this is... If this is real, it's grade A derp, that's for sure. Weapons grade derp. Yeah. This can't be real. Yeah. No one can have this point of view and be a functional adult.
Yeah. Okay. Faith in humanity is restored a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I bloody well hope so.
Oh, Dan,
it's apocryphal, and it if the test for these sort of things is, if this person was in charge, was the dictator of the planet, you want to live in that world? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, it's one of them things, there are definitely issues, right? And there are probably some people that actually unironically believe this. But it's one of them things
But then they grow up.
Well, it's one of them things where there are definitely issues, and it's about how you go about fixing the issues. It shouldn't be one of them things where everyone just shuts up and accepts the issues as issues. It's like, no, we can actually do something to fix the issues. It's just, how are we going to fix the issues? And that's the big question.
Yeah, just saying the issues is always pointless. You've got to understand what the issue is before you can address it, of course. But it's what you do about it that matters. That's what I don't really like about activists, because they don't do much more than create awareness. Because awareness by itself is useless. You've got to have action to come with it.
Well, I think that it's one of them things where like activists do some good work. Like, because firstly,
I'm not saying all activists are like that. I'm just saying that I'm talking about the ones that are like as I described.
Well, raising awareness, I think, is a good thing, because like only once you've raised awareness do people actually care enough about it to do something about it, right?
Yep, totally agree. Yep.
And so that's like, obviously it is good to have a plan. Like, you know, like that's why people can get on board so easily with like gay rights and stuff like that, because gay rights, they've got a plan, right? The plan is make it so that people aren't able to discriminate against gay people, and make it so that gay people can get married. It's really simple. Like, that's the plan that they have. If their plan was simply, we want to liberate the gay people, it's like, okay, how are you going to go about that? You know, whereas gay rights, it's generally a plan of let's start with getting equal rights for gay people, and, you know, give gay people the same rights that straight people have, and then we'll also make it so that gay people can't be discriminated against based on their sexuality. That's a really good start. And sometimes, maybe some place down the road, you'll have other things that might help. But, you know, you make a start with the things that there are clear goals for, and that's why it's easy for people to get on board with gay rights. Whereas when it comes to modern feminism, people have a hard time getting on board with it, because it is actually very difficult to come up with a plan, because a lot of ways in which females are oppressed are down to society rather than legal stuff, right? It's like, how are you going to combat domestic violence? And it's like, okay, that's a very complicated issue that not a lot of people have the answer to.
And it's not just against women, it's against men as well. They reckon 1 in 2 women experience domestic violence, but 1 in 3 men also experience it. And I've got a friend of mine who was nearly stabbed to death.
Yeah.
In such an incident. Who was a man. And it's not just cis couples either. It's other couples as well.
Yeah. Like, it's one of them things where we can't just ignore... obviously, we can't just ignore the men that go through domestic violence. Obviously, women are at a higher risk of being victims of domestic violence than men. But
yes,
it's also the case that men can go through it too. And so, how do we fix that? And you don't fix it by... you don't fix it by just addressing the woman stuff. You address it by also... addressing the men stuff, because
being fair to everyone. It's a function of the fact that humans have relationships. It's not a function of men and women, really. And men are more likely to commit domestic violence because they have that physical power on average over women. Some women are much more have the physical power over the men in some cases, but that's less likely.
So it's one of those things where it's a very complicated issue, and some people do have some things. I can chat. Dan Hetfield says more funding to safe houses for both sexes, and that is something that should be done. You should fund safe houses so that if someone is in a domestic is in a relationship in a violent relationship or an abusive relationship, so that they can leave. I think that also promoting education is probably one of the... Actually, I think that would be the biggest thing that you can do. Promote education of what is of how to spot a violent or a relationship which has things like violence or abusive relationships, because not everyone knows how to spot an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Especially men. Like, men are really bad at spotting when they're in an abusive relationship.
And add into the fact that, and I'm not saying all women are like this, but a lot of women like bad boys. So they like the sort of men who are more likely to commit domestic violence.
Yeah.
So that's their own worst enemy in that sense. And how do you can't legislate against this sort of thing. You just need to be able to make the facilities available to clean up afterwards, unfortunately, and do what we can socially to make it in people's heads that this is just not acceptable. Abuse of any kind, also psychological abuse, is just not. It's not acceptable to our society, and no one should have to live with it. But there's lots of things in society that there's just no way of getting rid of it. It's just part of human nature, unfortunately. That doesn't excuse it, but it's something we have to learn how to live with. Yeah,
Mr. Andret in chat says female domestic abuse tends to be less physical and more psychological abuse. Yeah, like when it comes to my ex, like I'd say that was in a way, it was an abusive relationship. It was one of them things where, because it wasn't physical, it's hard to tell. The thing is, when it comes to abusive relationships, it's not always physical, and that's why so many people get away with it. Because it's easy, like if the person that's abusing the other person is slapping the other person around, it's easy to go, that's an abusive...
Easy to see that, yeah.
Yeah. However, if it's something like, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself, then that's a lot harder to see, because it's abusive, but it's one of them things where it's like, it's easy to make an excuse for. It's like, but if I leave her, she's going to kill herself, and I don't want her to kill herself. And
you certainly don't want to live with that if she does. But and some women do. I mean, I when I was at uni, I knew several women who regularly slashed their wrists, and it was just for attention.
Yeah.
They wanted to. I nearly died, so they get all this attention, and that's why they do it. And it's a common psychological problem, not just with women, but in that sort of age group, late teens, early 20s, because they're still figuring out society, how to fit into their society, and that's, they get the attention they want by doing that, so they do it. And I'm talking about people who were medical students who knew where all the veins were, and what to cut so that they wouldn't die, but it would look like they'd attempted suicide.
Yeah,
and that's not. I'm not saying anything against people who genuinely have suicidal thoughts and things like that. I'm just saying that this thing happens in amongst human society.
Yeah, it's also something that I had a thought, but then it's run away on me. I had something.
Sorry.
I had something to add, and it was like really important thing I felt, but
there are definitely people who have genuine suicidal thoughts, and I want to help those people as much as I can. In fact, I'm hoping to do a live stream at some point again to raise money for suicide prevention.
I actually remember something. I actually remember what I was going to say. So, there will be some people that will try and use suicide as a means to get what they want, and I have known people that have done that. But there's one person that addressed that in a very in a really good way, right? Essentially, their daughter was saying, I might as well commit suicide then. And so what they said, oh, okay, pack up your stuff. And they were saying, wait, why? And saying, I'm taking you to the hospital. And they were like, why are you taking me to the hospital? And they said, well, you've just admitted to me that you might be feeling suicidal, so I'm taking you to the hospital. I'm going to have you admitted. and that shut them up pretty quickly. You know, 'cause
Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean there aren't people out there with genuine suicidal thoughts and things like that. But it has been used as a way to coerce other people into doing what you want.
Yeah.
And get attention.
Like Mr. Andret said, my ex used depression as a weapon against me. And yeah, there are people that will use their conditions as a weapon. And it actually sucks when people that so many people do that, because I hate making excuses for myself based on ADHD. Like, there are some things that I do that is entirely the fault of ADHD, right? And it's one of them things which I may not realize that I'm doing it. However, I do try to if I notice that I'm doing something, and it's because of, I think that it's to do with ADHD. Well, if I notice that I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, then I try to stop myself, right? If I notice, I try to be like, okay, let's try and act in a way that people should normally act. However, I don't always catch that, and if I do something and I realize that it's because of my ADHD, it's one of the things which I don't want to say that it's because of my ADHD, because it does sound like I'm making an excuse. However, there are people that, you know, they might do certain things because of depression, because of ADHD, because of anxiety, because of any number of conditions that they might have. It shouldn't be used as a weapon. It shouldn't be. It should be one of these things where, if you're constantly being called out for the same thing, then maybe it's one of the things where you need to go, okay.
Yeah, like, the problem might not be outside; it might be inside.
Yeah, I should probably try and focus more on fixing this issue. However, if it's something which is, oh, you get told about that and it's just a one-off, then yeah, like, it's one of them things where you can reasonably assume that person didn't know about it, you know, or people can, but yeah.
Yeah, and because some people use it as a weapon, it confuses. This is the heinous part of it. It makes it hard to believe the people who have genuine feelings and generally do need treatment. And I think taking them to the hospital and calling their bluff, that example shows that that's what you need to do. I wish I'd done that with my youngest child, actually.
Yeah, I actually should have done that with my ex. And that's one thing which in the future, like, I'm thinking about doing. Basically, if they do... If they do say that they're going to commit suicide, well, rather than being like, oh no, don't commit suicide, I'll do whatever you want, basically be like, okay, hospital, yeah, I just had someone admit that they want to commit suicide to me. Can I... Yeah.
Maybe we need that more in our society. If someone says that they just want to kill themselves... say, okay, I'm taking you to the hospital so you can get the treatment you need.
Yeah.
And we do that more regularly, and there'll be less of the fake stuff, and we can get, and more, we'll identify the real cases much more easily too. So it's a benefit both ways.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's for anyone that does go through that, that's something that you can use. So unfortunately, I do think that in some places it will be, like in America, going to the hospital may be expensive, but like in places like New Zealand and that, it shouldn't be too hard. So, and
yeah. Well, you know, a lot of people have health insurance too. I guess if you're not in a position to have health insurance in America, then it's a different matter.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll go on to the next thing because we do need to get through everything. So the next thing is this. You've heard about that ship that's blocking the Suez Canal?
Well, it's not anymore, but yep.
Well, it was.
It was 400 million a day. It was losses it was creating. So that was fascinating.
So this person says, "Are you buying any of this story?" And then another person says, "It's total BS." Like, everything is a conspiracy to them.
They got a picture of it right there, and they're saying it's BS. Based on what? Where's your evidence that it's BS? And the people losing $400 million a day, they don't think it's BS.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Just because one ship, I don't know, what was he trying to do? Was he trying to do a 3-point turn or something, was he? I don't understand how he even got wedged like that.
I don't know how I think it's one of them things where it was like a whole lot of things, a whole lot of different things. Like what's his name? Not Action Lab. Kyle Hill. He made a good video on it. Basically explained all the logistics of it, and he says it's actually easier to get stuck like this than you'd think, because it's not a very wide canal. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it's been going for what, 60 years now, and this is the first time this has happened.
Yeah, apparently it was also like wind and all that. So yeah, one thing that
strong wind.
One thing that Jason said, like, Jason, you have my Discord, right? Like, I'm sure I've got you added on Discord. Like, I can work out a time that we can talk. Like, if you message me on Discord, like, I'll probably respond. I'm sure on Discord you'll be able to message me. Yeah, there's a Jason Family Man on Discord, so. Doesn't look like your account's been deleted, so yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to the next thing, which is this thing here on Fox News, where they say that the flu cases plummet during pandemic. Now, I wish this was true. I really do wish this was true. Because if this is true, and I kind of doubt it, then that means that the measures that we've taken to combat coronavirus have drastically reduced flu cases. Now, obviously, this smells like bullshit. I highly doubt...
Based on what? Based on what?
Based on the amount of reduction, it smells like bullshit. So what?
But that's an opinion, though. It's not a factual thing.
Yeah.
Because the evidence I can offer to you is my ex-partner is a nurse on the respiratory ward of the major hospital here in Brisbane. They have had 0 flu cases this year. They had plenty in 2019. But they've had 0. Yeah. So it has drastically dropped.
Yeah.
How much? Well, I mean, how can we ever know? These are the official figures, so why would we disbelieve them?
It's one of them things where it's it seems like what it's being used, right? Seems like it's being used to say it seems like what it's being used to say is it's being used as a thing of, oh, hey, look, the flu. Look at all these flu cases. This must mean that they're taking flu cases and calling them coronavirus cases, and that's what it seems like the narrative they're trying to push. Obviously, the narrative, what's actually happening is that wearing masks, lockdowns, and all that have reduced cases of the flu. Now,
washing your hands.
Yeah, washing your hands has reduced cases of the flu. I do not doubt that the amount of flu cases have gone down. That's something that I actually think is highly likely, in fact, that it's been...
and gone down drastically.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's gone from 38 million to 1 million cases, right? I get the feeling that maybe this number might be overblown, or this number is... lower than it should actually be. I do feel like there's something, there's some fudging of the numbers going on here, right? But it's one of them things where...
Yeah, but you're not basing it on anything other than your incredulity. You're being a bit level Earth observer, really.
It's one of the... I mean, we could bring it up, so...
But... No, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that you're just doing what flirts do, and it's you just can't believe it, and that's fine. You're not allowed. You don't have to believe it, but we can't say that there's something wrong with this because we don't have anything to base that on other than our own incredulity.
Okay, let's go.
And I've given evidence. I've got some evidence. It's only anecdotal, but it's it's official hospital stuff where it's dropped to 0 in Brisbane, at least at the major hospital in Brisbane. Okay. And she's a respiratory nurse, so they'd all come through her, so she'd be aware of it. Okay,
so according to the CDC, the hospitalization rate for the 2020 to 2021 flu season in America was just 0.7 per 100,000. If we take the population of USA and just
7 every million. But the people are arguing that the flu was dropped because of all the coronavirus measures. So if that's the case, why are people still getting coronavirus? Because you catch it the same way.
I'm just trying to...
Why isn't that reduced to 0?
I'm just going to go times... I'll divide by 100,000 times 0.7. Ooh! Okay. So my calculation says that 2,296 people should be hospitalized.
Well, that's in the ballpark, isn't it?
Yeah, hospitalized.
And we're talking about 0.7 out of 100,000, so...
Yeah. But that's just hospitalization. Now, I don't...
Well, that's all they record. They don't record people at home having the flu.
It says that these measures led to a 20% drop, and it was likely that it was... I'm just looking at... I want to see the 2020. I am getting the feeling that there's like some fudging of numbers going on here.
All numbers are fudged to some extent.
Yeah. It's very hard to find the information on this. Actually. This is...
Well, it's not a popular thing to look for, I guess. It just reminds me of that Yes Minister scene where they were talking about government numbers and there being a nonsense, and Sir Humphrey says they've got to be complete, and then Bernard says yes, because government numbers need to be a complete nonsense.
Fair enough. Flu season. This is actually annoyingly hard to find. 2019 to 2020. Oh, maybe this might. CDC / flu season. This might actually give us a...
Sort of, well, it does say on the Fox News thing, it does say CDC under there, implying that that's the source, so you should get the same number, I'd imagine.
It's trying to find...
So easy to check.
Yeah, it's trying to actually find the sources for each of these numbers. Like, if anyone can actually get me the source, it'd be lovely to see it. I do feel like there's a bit of a... I do feel like there is some playing around with numbers. These numbers just don't seem quite right to me. It could be that there's... it could be that this is an actual thing, in which case, obviously, mask wearing and all that has reduced the number of flu cases. Or it could be that the number on the right is an estimation, That seems likely. Whereas the number on the left was the amount of tests that were done for the flu. In which case, we're comparing apples and oranges. There's a number of things that could be going on, and keep in mind that when it comes to Fox News, they're trying to push a narrative that, at least I suspect that they're trying to push a narrative that COVID wasn't all that bad. It's just the flu. And look at the amount of flu cases that there were.
Doesn't that go against that narrative? I mean, they are saying it comes from the CDC, these numbers, as you can see there. So it's easily verifiable one way or the other. You'd think. I mean, they're saying what their source is, which they should do. Never believe any figure you see without a reference to the source.
Yeah.
Because usually you see then you look up the source and you see it's some nutbag or something.
Yeah, like Jason uses CDC references, but it's just like he's incorrectly using the data.
Yes, there's always two aspects to it, isn't it? The validity of the data source and the interpretation of the actual data.
Yeah. This is why citations are important.
You should play your little clip on that.
Citation fucking needed. I don't have it on hand, unfortunately.
I can probably get it for you quickly. I've uploaded it to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's unlisted.
I think I might have. Jason Family Man has another account by the looks of it. Okay. Let me go to. Let me see if there's.
There it is. So I will post it in the chat.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Oh, in the live chat.
Yep.
So
other people can use it too. I mean, you did give it away, so.
Yeah. No, there's a problem with. Oh, what if I do this?
It still leaves the question open. If all the coronavirus measures reduce the incidence of flu, why aren't they reducing the incidence of coronavirus? From last time figures I saw, it was pretty close to an all-time high in the US.
Why?
Interesting thing.
Why is it doing this? This is a link. Do I have
What's it doing?
It's Googling it. Okay, maybe that. I had a space in.
There we go.
There we go.
Maximize, yeah.
I'll just go theater mode. Citation fucking needed.
There we go.
Yeah.
With the chin fluff as well.
Yeah. That would have been a while back. Time flies.
Only 6 months or so.
Yeah, time flies. Anyway, grabbing the next thing. Alright, apparently this is actually a legitimate thing that happened. So there's this. So this is someone getting back on Tinder, right? This person got on Tinder, matched with this person here. Now I personally don't see the appeal of this person here. Maybe other people do, right? But then the message that was sent by this person was this. Like,
You might get cancelled with this.
Like, just take a second to view this with your eyeballs.
Yeah, I'd be worried that YouTube's going to see this.
Oh, Mark Beiser just said about the last thing. The 38 million number is the estimate for 2018 to 2020 season. The 1822 is the actual tested and confirmed cases for this season. Yeah, I had a feeling that it was something like that.
Yeah, it was clearly an estimate, given it was a round number.
Yeah. Yeah. So...
Well, let's hope that YouTube understand that we're not condoning this in any way whatsoever. We're holding up to the light so that people can see what a disgusting person this person is.
Yeah, like, who would even, okay. Maybe it's because they matched on the 1st of April. Maybe,
oh, right.
Maybe that's why they sent that. Right? But still, like, who talks like that?
And well, especially if you're trying to get someone to go out with you, it's not exactly gentlemanly behaviour. Put it that way.
Yeah, as people in chat says, Bo is probably 10. Like, this seems like the sort of thing that a flat earther would say when they got on a dating app. I'm not ready.
Or a 12-year-old. Yeah.
I'm not reading that aloud. That would be an embarrassment to read aloud. Like Dan Hetfield says, it's really rapey. Yeah, it is really rapey, honestly. Like, even if you're doing this as a joke, just don't. Come up with a better joke.
Yeah. There's not many women who will see that and think, oh, wow, I want to go out with this guy.
Yeah. This is one of them things where, like, sometimes it is nice to think of, okay, what would someone do if they encountered this, right? And that's usually when I decide, okay, I want to actually see this person's reaction, right? Like, it might be this thing where I say, oh yeah, like, I made a lot of money today. I made $30, and they're like, wait, what? That's not... $130. Or something like that. That at least is some... You might be, like, wanting to see their reaction to that, and that could be interesting. But, like, this, you don't even get to see the person's reaction. And their reaction is probably, like, mega disgust. So it's not even going to be funny, you know?
Yeah.
You know, what's funnier is... The funny part about this is that someone has the... someone is actually got the mental... Is actually so mentally incapable of making sentences that... the funny part is that it's impossible to describe the mental capacity of this person. That's the funny thing about it.
Yes. Yes, it's I guess you call that creative writing. It's sort of like the sort of creation you want to kill it before it lays eggs.
Yeah. And lastly, we've got some bad science. Or bad history.
This is an egg.
Bad history, should I say. Alright, so do you want to read this out?
I've been watching the stream. How much do you think would Isaac Newton understand of your book? I think he would appreciate it. In 1666, we had the Great Plague. Cambridge University was shut down and a 23-year-old boy was sent home. 23-year-old boy? And he saw an apple fall on his estate. And then he realised that the laws that control an apple are the same laws that control the moon. So the epidemic gave Isaac Newton an opportunity to sit down and follow the mathematics of falling apples and falling moons. But of course, there was no mathematics at that time. He couldn't solve the problem, so he created his own mathematics. That's what we're doing now. Who wrote this? I mean, the moon is falling. It is falling towards the Earth, but it's going so fast that it never gets there.
It's more of but of course there was no mathematics at the time.
There was no trigonometry at the time. Newton invented it.
Well, there was no Newton invented calculus, but like
calculus. Sorry, yeah, not trigonometry. Yes, of course, trigonometry was you needed to build Greek temples and things.
But I'm not.
But yes, calculus.
I'm not sure that you need. I really don't think that you need calculus to arrive at the formula for gravity, right? And
well, he didn't use it, did he?
yeah, it's like this, and I'm not sure that Newton even saw an apple fall.
Yeah, it's a legend apparently.
Yeah, like it's one of them.
There's a place. There's a place in Cambridge you can go to where they claim is the tree or the descendant of the tree that Newton would have been seeing the apple falling from. But yeah, apparently the actual story is apocryphal.
Yeah. From what I've heard, it's because Isaac Newton didn't want to give credit to someone else that he didn't like, so he decided, okay, this is how I came up with it.
Oh, okay. Possibly. We'll never know, really.
So Daryl Frost says, yes, you do. Calculus is the math of change. Okay. So
there's no differentiation in F equals MA, put it that way.
Well, it could be like if you want to see how far something's gone due to an acceleration caused by a force, then maybe you might have to use calculus there.
Yeah. Oh, you need calculus once you've got gravity, but yeah, I don't think it was created by calculus.
One person says,
anyway,
wasn't calculus invented by Gottfried Leibniz? Maybe. I don't know.
Leibniz.
Yeah, Leibniz.
I don't know. I was looking up. I've never heard of him. I've got a maths degree. Polymath, and one of the most important logicians, mathematicians, and natural philosophers. Okay, natural philosophers gets me worried. Enlightenment. As a representative 17th century tradition of rationalism, Leibniz it developed as his most prominent accomplishment the ideas of differential and integral calculus. Okay. Independently of Isaac Newton's.
Okay.
So it was an idea that was had by two people, in other words.
So Truth Nerds just sent a super chat of €2 saying calculus is needed for elliptical orbits. And then he said e.g.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay.
A consequence of gravity, but not to derive gravity in the first place, I think.
Well, it could be used that to... so if you want to work out the elliptical orbit, you figure out... Because it could... there's a lot of things that you could probably... that would probably need...
Calculus is needed for elliptical orbits, for example.
I like how she says, for example.
And then no example. Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, I think that, like, calculus is probably partially needed at least to derive the elliptical... Maybe to derive the formula of gravity from the elliptical orbits.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure that's how Newton did it. I don't recall that, but anyway, the facts are out there, and I couldn't be bothered chasing him down right now.
Metal Jacket says Greeks had trig, Eratosthenes. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, we corrected that. I misspoke saying trigonometry.
Yeah.
I would have thought Keith Newton would know, seeing he's a Newton.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yes, and he makes a good point. Leibniz could well have done it at the same time, but because communication took days between England, where Newton was, and Germany, where Leibniz was, well, the Holy Roman Empire at that time, I guess. They just, and these weren't. It wasn't like the internet. People didn't go looking for this type of stuff. It just sort of happened. It's quite easy at that time for people to come up with the same thing independently. Which is good. It's the equivalent of a peer review, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, with that is the last thing we have for Rush of Stupid. So,
what a rush it was.
Yeah, all types of stupid. We didn't really have much Flurf. In the chat we had some Flurf stupid, so that completes it.
Well, worm stupid anyway.
Yeah, he's going on about pinworms and hookworms and all that, and he says 7 billion people are infected with worms. Yeah, or it's not that 7 billion people are infected with worms, it's that there's 7 billion infections. There's estimated to be about 7 billion infections, right? So, firstly, that is an estimate. Secondly, an infection just means that you're infected with one type of worm. You can be infected with 2 different types of worms, so that would mean that you'd have 2 different infections.
Not all worms are adverse.
Yeah.
There are, and just like not all germs are adverse, I guess. Everyone has germs. If we didn't have any germs in our body, we would die because just our gut bacteria, for example, helps us digest our food.
I'm not too sure that all worms that infect you would be. I'm not sure that there'd be worms that would help you all that much if they infected you.
Well, it depends what you're trying to do. If a tapeworm will help you lose weight. People deliberately infect themselves with tapeworms for that reason in Hollywood and places like that.
But yeah, like the main point that I'm getting at is that, like one person can have 2 tapeworms. In fact, one person could have possibly up to, I think there's about 4 different types of worms. So a person could have four different types of worms, and that would count as 4 infections. That would mean that only, and you can get the numbers for each type of worm, and you find that some types of worms are suspected to infect 2 billion people, whereas another is suspected to infect like 1 billion people, and when you add them all up, you get up to 7 billion, and then there's notes saying this does not mean that there are 7 billion infections. It's very clear about that, in fact.
Anyway, I suspect our audience doesn't want us talking about worms.
Yeah, anyway, so leave a like and subscribe if you liked the stream. A big thank you to everyone who sent in super chats. And I don't know if anyone bought any shirts yet. I'll have to see. I'll have to see, but if anyone did, big thank you to you too. Big thank you to everyone that's supporting me, basically. Even if it's just through a subscription, But anyway, I will...
Don't forget, you can be a member as well. Just click the join button below.
And don't forget to head over to Hugh Jarsz and check out his channel. Because, he's a person that...
If you've got nothing better to do. I am the biggest YouTuber ever. So
yeah. But anyway, I will see you in the next stream or video. Between you and me, thank you for watching. Real quick before I go, Jason just said, that is incorrect. If you have more than one parasitic worm infection, you are in the hospital dying because there is a raging battle going on inside your body. Like, doesn't he think that, like, the worms are just fighting with swords or something? Jeez.
You seen that episode of Futurama where all the worms took over Fry?